It's Friday. Happy Friday, you guys. Hope you all had a great week. I know I'm ready that it's Friday. I typically work out Friday mornings and nope, that didn't happen at all today. So I'm ready for the weekend. All right, if you were just joining and you're like, what is going on? Who is this girl? What are we talking about? My name's Alexandra. I'm the founder of Life with Herpes. I've been diagnosed with herpes. I was diagnosed with oral HSV1 in 2003 and genital HSV2 in 2011. So I've been living with herpes for a long time, couple of decades. Well, not quite decades, still 1 decade and 9 years. I don't want to say 20 years. That sounds really old. Hi there, Chanel. Anyways, I am here to support you. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to just be your guidance when it comes to being diagnosed with herpes. There's a lot of ways we can look at this. We can look at this as a curse. We can look at this as, why did this happen to me? We can be angry. We can be frustrated. We can be down on ourselves. We can want to potentially cause harm to ourselves, things like that. And I really want to encourage us all to move through that as fast as possible and get to the other side of learning to live with herpes. 2 things I really like to talk about, and I call it the Eeyore phase. And the Eeyore phase is when we're diagnosed and we're in that angry phase. We're in that, like, there's a rain cloud over us all the time and we just can't get through to back to our beautiful, happy life. I call that the Eeyore phase. I was there for 2 years. I was stuck there for 2 years until I decided to make a change and make a difference. So with that being said, the 2 things I really think are important. Recently, I had an article in the New York Post. Well, today it went live in the New York Post talking about herpes as a blessing in my life, and it allowed me to make changes in my life that needed to happen. And so herpes is what made it happen. So we need to take responsibility for our actions. So, and we also need to forgive ourselves and our partner. I talk about this a lot. I talk about this all the time. So talking about forgiveness and everything like that, you know, we can be mad. Let's talk about our partner. We can point fingers and blame, and you did this to me, and maybe our partner knew and maybe our partner didn't know. The truth is we may never know. But we want to forgive our partner. If our partner knew and didn't have the ability to communicate with us, that's what he or she was going through at that time, and they weren't capable of communicating that with us. If they didn't know, we have to forgive them. They didn't know. And then next, I want us to take responsibility. So I take responsibility deciding to be intimate with that person. That was my choice. Nobody made that choice for me other than me. So I made those choices. So these are just some things I like us to work on and work through as we discuss living with herpes, because the sooner we can get out of this angry phase, of this victim phase, it allows us to move forward and realize, wow, these were some changes that needed to happen in our life. All right, so feel free to ask your questions here. If this is something that is new to you, go on ahead and hit subscribe. I do these daily. I don't want you to miss them. And I love to post videos. I have so much fun on TikTok, you guys. I post videos daily that are educational, that are funny, and just here to inspire you throughout our journey. Do you know what is the best med so my partner don't get it, because I really don't want to spread it? All right, so as far as, I'm not a doctor, I cannot recommend. So the person with herpes, there is an FDA drug that is prescribed to you by your doctor. It would be an antiviral. It's Valtrex, valcyclovir, acyclovir, and this is something that's prescribed to you to keep the virus dormant in our system. Typically, you're prescribed 500 milligrams daily, and that's considered a prophylactic to keep it dormant. So I'd recommend talking to your doctor if that's something you want to do. The next thing you can look at and do is I go a little more natural route. I take lysine daily, and this is an essential amino acid. Basically, it blocks replication of the herpes virus. So when arginine comes into our body, which fuels the herpes virus, the lysine will block that, and it basically does its best to inhibit the replication of the virus. So this is what I take daily. I do have it linked for you. I love Natural Cure Labs, well, formerly Natural Cure Labs, it's now Palmera Health. I think they have the best supplement, the efficacy, the awards they've won, they really are the best. So yes, I take this daily. This is something that I consume daily. Lysine is also something that is consumed in our foods that we take. So there are high lysine foods, high arginine foods. You can Google, there's a whole list, but just off the top of your head, fish is high in lysine, potatoes are high in lysine, dairy is high in lysine. Any fruits, vegetables, they are all gonna be some good things for you. So definitely go take a look and you can check it out. But I do have this linked for you. Can you take Valtrex and lysine at the same time? Yes. So one is a prescription drug. It's an antiviral, and this is just this is a protein. So this is something that will help naturally keep the virus dormant in our system. So yeah, if this resonates with you, if you're watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, I know someone that could really benefit from this, go on ahead and share my information with them. I really would appreciate that, because I know I was so alone when I was first diagnosed. I wish this platform, I wish where we are now, like in 2011, Instagram was like barely new. So this whole idea of sharing and this whole idea of educating didn't exist. So thank you guys for being here, and I'm just trying to spread the information. Do I have regrets? I don't have regrets. That's a very interesting question. Do I have regrets? There was a period of time that I was not promiscuous. I was very careful when I was dating. I was regularly tested, and I was very careful when I was like with who I slept with. That was something that was really important to me. So I look back, there was a brief period that I looked back and I was like, man, I wish maybe I would have experimented more or just not been so prude. But I was talking about it with one of my friends from college, and he was like, but Alexandra, that's just not who you are. Like, you're not a promiscuous person. That's not who you are, and you would have regretted that. So that idea went out the way. So no, do I have regrets of getting herpes? Like, there's nothing I look back, could I have changed things? Yes. The one change I could have made is I could have had my partner before we slept together. I could have said, no, you're going to go get tested specifically for herpes. That is something I could do. But it's so common that we start dating and you go, okay, well, have you been tested? And the partner's like, yeah, I've been tested. And they go, well, are you good? Yeah, I'm good. Well, of course I'm good. Well, I'm good. And I actually was awaiting some herpes results. So I had gotten tested earlier that week and I was waiting for some results. And we decided to be intimate, and there it went. So, yeah. So with that being said, do I have any regrets? I can't really change it. What I would like you all to know is that herpes is something that's out there, and it's something that it's very hard to avoid, whether it's oral or genital. The best way to avoid it is just to have your partner get tested and you get tested as well. Do I have a book? I don't have a book. I've been told that I should write a book, and I'm glad that I'm comforting. Thank you so much. Must be my motherly side coming out. How long after an outbreak are you contagious? So that's different for everyone, and there's no real like, oh, you're contagious for this. That's why herpes is a very difficult virus to create a vaccine for and things like that. So typically we are contagious if we have prodrome symptoms. So if we have the tinglies, the itchies, that could be a sign that we're getting an outbreak, and it might be a sign that we're contagious. Then when you get the actual blister, of course, is like, obviously you're contagious. Some people say once it starts scabbing, some people say once it's completely healed. For me personally, I will wait till the scab has healed and the herpes virus has gone away and I no longer can feel any sensation. I don't go so much by look, number one, because it's really hard to see. And number two, if it goes on skin, so like I get mine on my tailbone as well, and that is skin, that's like our normal type of skin, and that can leave a little bit of scarring for a while, so I don't necessarily go on looks. Let me see. I take lysine daily, and that's something if you want to take, you can obviously take it daily, and you can talk to your doctor. How likely is it to spread while on medicine? The virus, like in yourself or to someone else? I'm assuming to somebody else. Being on the antiviral, it lessens the transmission rate by 48%, which sounds like not a lot, but you don't have a high chance of transmitting it. How am I trying to say this? The percent of times that you're actually contagious is very low. so that when you take the antiviral, it lessens that even more. So it lessens it down to a few percent. I've heard doctors quote 1% chance. I've heard doctors quote 5% chance. So I don't want to necessarily put a number on it, but it lessens it significantly. What were my first symptoms? I felt awful, and just the area down there just was like the entire thing was inflamed. Not necessarily a blister, but just the whole thing was inflamed, and it just hurt to sit. Can you take Valtrex and lysine at the same time? You can. You were just diagnosed August 2nd. I'm so sorry, Chanel. I understand what you're going through. Just know that we're all here. We all understand what you're going through. This is why I'm here. The community is here for you, and there's tons of information for you. So I hope that you find support. The number one thing I would do if I was just diagnosed, I would find a community. Obviously, I have the Life with Herpes community. I created it because I was alone when I was first diagnosed. There's lots of communities out there now, so I encourage you to find one that you feel fits you, and that you're going to get the most support from. Obviously, I think Life with Herpes is the best, but I have it linked if you want to check it out. Any tips for viral shedding? I'm new. I feel like lately I get tingly a lot. I would recommend adding some lysine to your diet. That's going to help. It helps me when I get the tingles. When I feel a tingle coming on, I make sure I get the lysine in my body. I would look at arginine. Are you consuming a lot of arginine? Arginine foods fuel the herpes virus. So I'd look at things like peanuts, nuts, chocolate. Anything sugary can lower your immune system. Coconut milk, coconut meat. I would look at processed foods, things like that may be triggering outbreaks for you. I absolutely love your education. Thank you, Megan. I'm glad I can be here to support people. How do you care for newborns after you have them? It's scary, like for your baby. You know, I personally decided to live life as though I'm gonna love my baby, I'm gonna kiss my baby, I'm gonna hold my baby, I'm gonna do things that I would have normally done without having herpes. I can't prevent my child from coming into contact with it from other people. He's going to come in contact with it. Right now in his life, there's 7 people that are in his life almost daily. And of those 7 people, 5 of them have herpes, HSV1. And so I just can't prevent everybody from like touching him and cuddling with him and kissing him and sharing a drink. So I love and kiss my child like anyone else would. Of course, if I feel anything coming on, I won't. I did have an outbreak when he was 6 months old. I did kiss him with an outbreak. I freaked out. He didn't end up getting it. But of course I freaked out like anyone naturally would. But I still feel it's important to kiss my child and love my child. I shower with my child. We don't co-sleep, but there's times he slept in our bed and, you know, yeah. I understand your fear though. My doctor said she won't test without symptoms or outbreak. Same for partners. Yeah. I've heard that a lot. I've also had to go to the doctor when I was dating and before I had herpes. I'd be like, no, I want you to test me. And they're like, well, we're not going to test you. You don't have symptoms. And I'm like, I am asking you to do this. I am here. Will you test me? So I would just continue to say, I need you to test me. You can ask for a blood test. It's an HGG. It's looking for the antibodies. If they won't do it, try going somewhere else. It would be the antibody blood test is what you need. Hi, do you have both? And if so, did you get it both from the same person? Great question. I have both. I have HSV1 oral and HSV2 genital. I got HSV1 oral in 2003 from a guy I went on a date with, and he kissed me after the date. HSV2 I got in 2011 from a guy I was dating, and we became intimate, and he didn't know he had it. So I have both from different people. You just found out you have herpes. You didn't know how to share it with your boyfriend. So the best thing I would do, sorry, I was just reading something. The best thing I would do is I would reach out to your partner as soon as possible. I would absolutely ask your partner as soon as possible. Not ask, disclose. I feel that when you're disclosing as soon as possible, as soon as you hear the information, you're going through that. I don't really want to use the word trauma, but it's an important thing so that he can see, or she can, he can see what you are going through. If you wait weeks, months, then they're gonna be like, well, why did you wait? Why did you wait so long? No intercourse during an outbreak, even with your spouse. So yeah, you want to avoid skin to skin. So if you have an outbreak, avoid the skin to skin, whatever that looks like for you. If you have an oral outbreak, of course you can have genital sex, but you want to avoid the transmission as much as possible. I was diagnosed 10 months ago and I've only had the initial outbreak. That's awesome. So that is very common to only have one outbreak or have very far and few between outbreaks. My first oral outbreak was in 2003 and my second oral outbreak was in 2017. So that was a long distance in between. That can be normal for some people. Most people will have initial outbreaks and then not get herpes. Most people are actually asymptomatic, and that's why we don't know they have herpes. Your boyfriend wants to get tested. I think every person should get tested before they get into a relationship. So no, herpes is not part of the STD, STI panel. So when you go in and say, I want to get tested, people don't test you for that, which is extremely frustrating. What symptoms when breaking out? So they're a little bit different for everybody, but they can be flu-like symptoms. It can be swollen lymph nodes. It can be exhaustion. It can be nerve pain. It can be like inflammation pain in the genital area. And then it can be a tingle. It can be like an itch. It can feel like, I like to say, like it feels like a spider is walking on your skin. And then of course blisters can pop up. And that's kind of what it's like. Someone on your wrestling team has herpes, so that's very common for wrestlers or athletes to actually get herpes from the mats or just skin to skin. So it's skin to skin transmission. So for your question, professional moderator, are you going to come in contact with where that person has herpes? I don't know the answer to that. So I don't know where that person has herpes. So as far as being worried, I wouldn't be worried. You're going to come in contact with it throughout your life. 90% of the population will be in contact with it before they're 50. So you're going to be in contact with it with other people, whether you know it or don't know it. I would just, if it's somebody you can ask, you could say, like, hey, where do you have it? Things like that. Did you mention coconut milk as a trigger? Yeah, for some people, coconut milk and meat can be high in arginine, which can be a trigger. How to disclose to someone when you're newly dating. I would recommend wait till you're ready to sleep with that person, and then you can, when you're ready to sleep with that person is when you would have the disclosure conversation. A lot of times we think like, gosh, should I tell him now, or can I even go on a date even though I haven't disclosed? You can date, you can go out, you can do whatever you want. If you're gonna disclose, if you're gonna expose the person to herpes, then yeah, you should disclose. So I do have a toolkit you can look at. There's like 14 or 16 videos in there. I was 9 months pregnant when I recorded them, so it was kind of fun for me to look back at them. Anyways, so what was I gonna say? Yeah, I'd recommend looking at that toolkit. I have it linked for you. You can check it out. It has a lot of great information on how to disclose to past partners, how to disclose to future partners or current partner. You get outbreaks on your inner thigh. I personally do not, but some people get them on their inner thigh. They can get them on their hamstring. They can get them on their butt. They can get them below their belly button. What major food triggers are there? Spicy food, alcohol. Spicy food can be a trigger for some people. That's more of the like, if you believe, or like if you go to acupuncture and things like that, they'd say like, oh, spicy food can trigger that in your body. I eat lots of spicy food. I also drink alcohol. Obviously, drinking excessive amounts of alcohol can create you to lower your immune system. You're not going to sleep as well, things like that. Do you know any other male STD influencers? You've been amazing, but also would love to hear a male. I do. Pickering Fitness. He is a 20-something-year-old. He lives in Canada, and he does a lot of great job here on TikTok. So I'd recommend him. You have it in arginine is a big trigger, so I pay attention to what I eat. That's awesome. Does anxiety help take a role on outbreaks? Yes, anxiety is a huge trigger for most people. Anxiety, stress, depression, kind of all the same thing. It's like a roller coaster for us. Did I answer your question? I don't know. Will you re-ask your question? So yeah, anxiety, stress, depression can be a huge trigger for most people. I know that when I'm stressed, it can cause it. There's one woman in our support group, and she's like, when I have to go Christmas shopping and do all the holiday shopping and go to the malls and deal with the lines and the whole thing, she's like, I always get an outbreak. So a lot of times we'll learn what causes our outbreaks. For me, it's really lack of sleep. Like last night I didn't sleep well, and if I were to go another night tonight and not sleep well, I can probably guarantee an outbreak Sunday. You know what I mean? So it's learning what works for you and what doesn't work for you. You only have cold sores. Does that mean I have herpes? I haven't had an outbreak in years. Yes. So cold sores are herpes. And that is something that's a big myth. Most people don't realize that. Cold sores are typically HSV1, but it can also be HSV2. And yes, so cold sores are herpes. What do outbreak lesions look like? They can look like a blister, they can look like a cluster of blisters, or they can look like a paper cut. And when I say a blister, it's definitely not like a whitehead. It can have a whitish tone, but it's more of like a liquidy filled blister. It's not like a pus filled blister. You would still I would still kiss you with sores. Thank you. Do I have both? Yes, I have both. So I did answer your question. Yes, I have both. I have HSV1 oral. I got that in 2003. I went on a date with a guy who had an active outbreak and he kissed me. And then I have HSV2. I got that in 2011 from my partner that I was dating, and he had no signs or symptoms and didn't know he had it. Lots of alcohol can also trigger outbreaks because it can lower your immune system. How has this affected my dating life? Back when I was diagnosed, it affected it. I stayed with the guy I was dating. I didn't have the confidence to move on. I didn't have the confidence to date anybody else. So it affected it that way. And then I had to learn how to date. I disclosed, and sometimes it was successful and sometimes it wasn't. HSV1 is typically, it's more common. It's HSV1 is typically the oral region. 2 out of 3 people have HSV1 statistically, but HSV1 can also be genital. HSV2 is most commonly known as genital herpes. Less people have it. 1 out of 6 people have it, but HSV2 can also be oral. So you've never had an outbreak, you have it, you're newly single, do you need to tell a partner? Yes. So unfortunately, yes, if you have tested positive for it, even though you've never had an outbreak, it still means you have herpes, and you need to disclose to a partner, absolutely. The great way that you can go about that is let them know, like, hey, I have this, I have no idea where it came from, I may have had it my whole life, may have picked up as a kid, but let's go get tested, why don't you go get tested? How many outbreaks do I get a year? Orally, I get them every couple years. Genitally, I would say 6. I get them quite often genitally. How did your husband feel? He didn't care. He, of course, wanted to know about it. I do have if you look at my TikTok and other videos, I do talk, my husband will talk about it. You can look at the videos where he's answered questions and things like that. But at the same time, he just wanted to be with me. It didn't matter. Have I talked to my doctor about the valcyclovir prescription? I have. I've been on it for seasons in my life. I'm currently not on it. Do I disclose on the first date? What's your strategy? I don't. I waited until I was ready to sleep with the person, because a lot of times dating doesn't mean you're going to sleep with them. It means that you're going to get to know them. If your intention is to sleep with them on the first date, then yeah, absolutely tell them. And thanks for all the hearts, guys. I love all the comments. I love all the hearts. I really appreciate that. How did my family react? I mean, it wasn't a proud moment for them, of course. But they understand that I'm helping people, and they understand that I am doing this out of compassion to support other people going through herpes. Does my husband have it? He does not. My husband does not. All right, we went through a lot of questions, guys. Like I said, I do this daily. I enjoy speaking on this. I enjoy educating people on this. Like and follow this to do, girls like HSV2, you're funny. I don't want you to miss a video. I do lots of content. Some of it's funny, some of it's educational. It's mostly educational. I try to put a lot of great content in the comments. If you're questioning, I have a lot of great stuff on the website, Life with Herpes. You can go there for more information as well. I've been blogging on there since 2017, so there's a lot of information there as well. How has your husband been able not to get it? He's been lucky, I guess. I don't know. I communicate with him when I have an outbreak. We don't have sex when I have an outbreak. He gets tested about every 6 months. So, yeah, cold sores are herpes. So, does stopping antivirals and then starting again lower its effectiveness, its efficacy? I don't believe so. I don't think so. All right, guys. Hope you have a great Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. I look exhausted. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for the hearts. That's a great question. Does shaving trigger outbreaks? How can I determine if it's herpes or razor burn? Razor burn would typically go away pretty fast. Shaving in some women can. It depends on the coarseness of the hair. It depends on where you have your outbreak. So like for me, I get them on my anal opening. I'm not shaving my anal opening, so it wouldn't cause it for me, where other people get them on their vaginal opening and shaving could trigger it. I've talked to people that have switched to lasering. I've talked to people that have switched to sugaring. So just look and see what works for you. Also, something to be aware of is hair it's a barrier. So it does help prevent transmission. So I don't know, maybe you want to keep it there. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you all. Thanks so much. Bye.